Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Suze.
And we know things.
That's why we're wearing glasses.
They don't give you these unless you go in and share all the things you know. That's why eye exams take like 8 hours sometimes.
Yeah, mine take longer.
Because you know more things?
Yeah, there's a lot more taking off my clothes than I realized there would be too.
I don't think that was the eye doctor.
Target Optical, man.
I think you were just in the changing room for the clothing section.
That makes more sense.
Okay, you wrote questions and we have jokes and then sometimes also an answer. That's why this is called Joke.
Joke.
Serious. Joke.
Joke.
Serious.
Joke.
Joke.
Serious.
All right, so let's get to it. First question. Dear Suze and Nick, it's Nick and Suze, but okay. I try to live by a pretty basic code of ethics, the don't be a jerk code, if you will. Okay, weirdo.
That's a good one.
This is weird to read from a YouTube comment. However, in this current political context of hate begetting hate, I'm finding it harder and harder to not be a jerk to people being jerks. It's a quandary. Okay, we get it, Harvard. Like borderline existential crisis. So, is there a way to let jerks know they are being jerks without being a jerk myself? Suze, you're a jerk. How do you go about not being
I say everything on my mind. Don't allow people to finish sentences.
No consequences.
Cut them off. Assume they want the worst from the world and they want to see the world burn.
I
assume they hate this country.
But the first
I like to steamroll over people just as they're talking at my face. I'm like, yeah, but also, and
Well,
are you saying something?
From time to time, just go through your apps and delete all your social media. Go out in the middle of the woods, put your face in a stream, and keep it there for 30 minutes until you're no longer alive. That's the way I deal with this current political climate.
It's true. I find them dead in a creek a lot.
How many times a week would you say?
Like 8.
We are not always good at this.
Here's where social media is a dual-edged sword. Because it's awesome and that it connects us with everyone around us. It's terrible in that it connects us to everyone around us. A thing I try to do is I try to remember that most people really do truly, they aren't terrible people. They want the best for things and just have different ideas of how to go about that. I try to go back to that all the time, give people the benefit of the doubt of like, I don't think they're terrible people. I don't think they want the world to burn. I think we just have different ideas of how to get to the same destination.
I would say 99% of the sort of debates and conversations that are had, on Twitter or Instagram comments or Facebook threads, if they were had in real life, face to face, there's a lot more empathy and understanding. But it's so hard because text is devoid of all context, even with emojis.
Emojis make it better.
I know. Because I've been in these conversations where I feel like I'm talking to a jerk, but I know from their side I'm the jerk. And in my mind, I'm completely calm and typing my really well thought out response. And they're reading it as, "Arg, I'm gonna take away your guns." And so it's hard when you're having that disconnect every time. Also, you should see my gun closet. I'm taking everybody's guns.
He is. He's stealing them. We have them all now.
Oh, I even have a duck hunt gun.
You're a dog.
Wow.
Another thing I try to remember is that Facebook, people don't go to Facebook to have conversations to have their minds changed. This is not like great philosophical debates where like the meeting of all the greatest minds is happening. People aren't coming there to have their minds changed. People aren't listening. People go to Facebook to scream their thing at people. And it's just everyone screaming things at other people. And so on days like that, when I realize that, I just scroll right on by. Like, you don't have to engage every single person who has a different opinion than you.
Really?
You can figure this out until...
I don't think you read the Facebook bylaws. I think when we agreed to that user agreement, it said you have to yell at everybody who differs from you in opinion.
You don't have to weigh in every single time on every single post, on every single... Because you're just adding to, it's just noise. Facebook is so much noise and you don't have to add to that. So I think that there are times to speak up and there are times when it's fine to just keep on scrolling by.
I'm already stressed just thinking about it.
Do you want to have sex?
Yes.
Pardon us.
We're very quick. I have medical issues.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you decide what you say and don't say publicly. I have some stories to tell, but I wonder if it's a good idea to tell them transparently. What do you think about Anne Lamott's opinion on this? You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. Which is a great quote.
Well, I think what this question needs is an anecdote about how the one time I saw Anne Lamott at Baja Burrito in Nashville, Tennessee.
Tell that story.
I just did.
No.
I saw Anne Lamott at Baja Burrito in Nashville, Tennessee.
Did she get the beans or the rice?
Yeah, of course.
Both?
She's a poet. So is Baja Burrito in Nashville, Tennessee. Give me burritos now. I think it's important. This is the same joke as the one before. I think it's important to tell everybody all your opinions. Oh, you should yell at them with a megaphone at 2 a.m.
What if they're on the second story?
Get a ladder. Build that wall. Build that wall.
Shit.
I don't know what's happening. I think there's a way to tell your story without it being salacious. There's a way for you to tell it to where you feel like you left, you wrote it in blood and it is true, and you feel sort of like that relief of having it out there, that finally my story is being heard without it being like an utter takedown. If other people are in your story and they didn't act favorably in your story, and as long as it's honest, I think it's okay to implement them in that.
Yeah. So I think there's a way to tell your story so that it's honest and you're not necessarily blowing up someone else's spot, but you are allowed to tell your own stories. So if someone else's behavior is, incidental in your story, you're allowed to tell that. You can't tell their story per se, and talk all about them and them, but you are allowed to tell your own thing. Absolutely. And if they're incidental in that,
people are complicit in their actions. Like there are consequences to that, and some of it might be, that somebody writes about it one day. There's a Bukowski quote about the day a writer is born in the family is finished. And there's something to that, and it's kind of funny, but it's also
Bukowski.
Yeah. It also might not have been him. It might have been Kesha. I don't remember. I can't remember. Somebody smart said that.
I'll also say that when writing things out, the first draft, don't hold back. If you have something, if you're working out anger or you're working through some stuff in a story, your first draft, make that what it is. Write that like balls to the wall, get everything out. You don't have to release it that way. You can then, but then it's out. So you've done like the processing through writing and the telling of the story. And there's something very cathartic about just writing that out and having that story out. It doesn't mean you have to like broadcast it for everybody, but it's there. And then from there you can kind of clean that up, work that up and decide what form that needs to take to go out to other people also. But that first one can be just for you.
Mm-hmm. This question says, how do I get started? She asked about like if there are any places for getting together with other people, musicians, creative people. And she says, I'm a stay-at-home mom who desperately needs a band or something but has no idea where to start, especially with 3 little crazies at home. I imagine that she's talking about
chinchillas. She has 3 chinchillas.
So, man.
With ADHD. It's hard to find calm ones.
It's in the name. Chinchilla sounds like an onomatopoeia for what it is. How'd it go? I would say teach the chinchillas instruments.
The tambourine's an obvious one.
Start.
They could tag team some bagpipes. Chinchilla mittens on an accordion.
Ghostface chinchilla. Get it? Like that rapper?
Brr, chinchilla.
There are all kinds of like resources. I know for sure, like online, I know it's hard to know where to go, But honestly, if you go, if you want to go to somewhere in the real world, if you go to like a guitar center or a music store or something, a lot of times they'll have a bulletin board where it's like, hey, like I'm looking for, a band or whatever. You can put something, or you can look for something. You can also go on Craigslist. There are really good like music forums on Facebook and stuff, where people in your area can direct you to people, and like you can just start by meeting other musician people probably in your same position. I think it would be really cool if you started a stay-at-home mom band.
That would actually be amazing.
Where you guys are called like Karen and the Homeschoolers or something. But I think it'd be really fun to like play a bunch of covers, where you change the words to the songs to have to do with like the frustrations of being a mom.
Like stay-at-home mom Weird Al's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That should be a thing.
It should be. That would be incredible.
You should make that a thing.
That chinchilla who's playing the bagpipes could also learn the accordion, because I hear that they transfer very easily.
Yeah, they're basically the same instrument.
Yeah. There are tons of resources, though. You literally can find that's the beautiful thing about the internet, is you can find your people everywhere. But I would start with searching those 3 places. Go to real life IRL in real life.
That's why I'm dating a young girl. Isn't that hot? He knows all this lingo.
I'm gonna eat you out the Fortnite if you don't. I can't think of 3 youthful lingos. That's the great thing about any kind of artistic community, is once you meet one person, they know at least 5 other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Even no matter how small your area is, they know at least 5 other people that they can introduce you to. Those people know 5 other people, and then it just turns into this big community or network. It's pretty good. Thanks for writing in. If you want to ask a question, you can always write to sicknews@gmail.com. You can also comment on any of the videos below, and we comb those comments. We do the thing you're not supposed to do on YouTube, which is read comments. Like and subscribe. We're trying to beat Logan Paul's numbers.
We're supposed to break a plate now.
In your skull?
I have